I think we all have had that experience before where we walked past an elderly couple in a park and they all greeted us with, maybe they greeted us with a wave, or they smiled back at us, or they said, "How was your day?" Just be nice people. Why are they so polite? It's always the elderly couple that is the most polite out of anyone. And then you compare this to a younger individual, people in my generation, Generation Z, or Generation Alpha as well. Their eyes dart around the place as if they're in a tyrannical government looking for agents that might get them. They aren't fully present. They seem like they're always so ultra uninterested in the conversation. I genuinely believe that back in the silent generation, people raised each other so much better. They actually raised everyone with social norms. They raised them with, how to actually act, and then the last name had honor. But the modern generation suffers from the parents not actually guiding them. I did speak about, parenting in my parenting video or whatever. Suffer from dopamine issues, which stops them from contributing to the conversation. It stops them from being present. And they just don't know how to navigate these social interactions because they don't have any experience. So why do Zoomers suck at socializing? First of all, they lack presence, okay? The modern human being is consumed by so much pleasure, so much TikTok, social media, TV shows, video games, all this stuff that takes you out of the present moment. One look from your phone can actually take you out of the present moment. Every time I look at my phone and I'm at school, it's just hard to focus anymore because it just takes it away immediately. Phones are built to get rid of your focus and to get rid of your presence because that's how addictions work. It spikes your dopamine and it keeps spiking it up, and thus your baseline decreases. Now this is what a lot of Zoomers are getting themselves into. They are walking into these apps like TikTok and they're always using it because it's just fun. It's just something to do. It's to keep your mind distracted. It's not actually that fun, but it's just something to keep your mind distracted because it seems that this generation wants to stay away from boredom as much as possible, and boredom's actually a good thing. Boredom is what gets you doing a lot of disciplined tasks. But they're filling up their day with scrolling, and thus they feel worse. They have more brain fog as a result, and that brain fog stops them from being present. And when you're not present, you can't actually talk properly. You can't listen in on the conversation, and your head kind of overtakes everything. And people love present people, okay? Let's say you're dating someone. If you weren't present in that moment, she wouldn't love you as much. But if you were present, looking into her eyes and listening to everything she says, she would love you a lot more as a result. So before every single social interaction, you should not have your phone with you. Don't bring it. Just focus on the present moment. And also, I recommend you avoid your phone for weeks, as well as social media, because you need to be present in that situation. Second of all, modern day social values. I already have touched up on this issue on my video about people raising kids incorrectly. The issue is that there's two types of modern day parenting. First of all, there's the one we all know about, the one where the mother walks in and she's showering the child of love, being like, it's okay, you can take a day off. I'm just gonna buy you a new PC. And this way of spoiling your kid grows them to hate you, to despise you, and they also don't know how to do basic things because you aren't guiding them. We all know that trope of the kid who's like, "Get out of my room, mum, I'm playing Xbox." That comes from that spoiled family where they just shower them with gifts and love, and that's not how you raise your kids. And then there's a second one, which is where you act like a friend to your child. You don't punish them, you don't guide them. You're just like, okay, well, it's fine if he says something sexist to the teacher. I'll just laugh because, he's my friend. You should guide them. You should give them rules, because people without rules are dishonorable people. They don't know how to follow values and they don't know how to follow honor. That's the reason why a lot of Christian families actually have a lot of talented people, because they have rules and values for the children to follow down, and that actually benefits them in the long run. While all these Western families, their ways of raising their children has been more a reflection of their traumas. That's why they do that, because of their traumas. Their parents didn't raise them correctly, so they just came up with a terrible solution that actually doesn't solve anything. So thus, these youthful people have a lot of attitude when they're talking to people. They don't know any manners. They don't know how to actually navigate proper interactions. So they walk around and they just act out of the actual character they should be in. And compare this to elderly people, the men and women who grew up with value and honor. They grew up with their parents having the last name be more important than anything. They didn't want their son to be known as a serial killer or the rude kid down the street. So thus these people are just smiling all the time when you see them. They're happy, they're blissful, they have all these manners. So if you raise your kids in a way where you're like giving them values and telling them how to interact with people properly, they're going to end up like that. They're going to end up happy and blissful and making other people happy and blissful as a result. Third of all, school environments. I think this one's really important because how you get treated as a young individual by your tribe actually does affect how you interact with other people, right? People usually expect social life at schools to be fun, okay? In some regards, they are if you actually, are able to lead your tribes and your groups. But they're quite the opposite. The social life at school is very, very narcissistic in a way. Like, I'm not saying this to kind of be like, oh, they're narcissistic, avoid them. You can find some great people at school, but there's a lot of narcissistic people from, the parents that raise their kids, what we just discussed before, and they drag you down as a result. Schools are an environment for bullying and ostracizing, and I was certainly a victim of both. And I can tell you right now, this ruins your confidence. It does not build up character. They're not bullying you for a good reason. They're bullying you because of something you can't control, usually. So this worsens a child's social skills. It hurts their confidence, and you need confidence to reveal your charismatic abilities. The Cyberbullying Research Center surveyed 5,700 students aged 12 to 17 in the United States, and about 76.4% of them were bullied at school. This is the vast majority of children. So think about that. The vast majority of young people were bullied, and thus they have these side effects where they're less confident, they're less outgoing, they're too vigilant about people. This is a massive problem. This has held major consequences to the majority of younger people, and it already has made people feel unsafe in social environments, especially school environments, okay? You need to feel safe when talking to people, because when you don't feel safe, you're going to feel anxious, and that blocks you from revealing your charisma, because we all have an inner charismatic ability. It's just those that aren't very charismatic aren't actually revealing it to everyone else. Your top charismatic self is when you're fully present and you're not anxious. You're just revealing who you are, and yourself starts being reflected to everyone else, and they all see it. So these reasons, as well as many other reasons, are the reason why the modern generation has to face what causes Zoomers to be so terrible at talking and socializing. We should have waited until the kids were 15 to give them phones and warned them about the addictions of apps. We should have guided them instead of left them with no rules and too much spoils. Make sure your children don't end up like this, okay? Make sure they're mentally and physically strong. Now, I'm gonna say something. Here's some tips. First of all, your confidence is what really matters. You need to kind of build up the confidence to be able to walk in there and actually act like yourself. So how do you be confident? There's numerous tips. First of all, you could kind of give yourself the identity of being confident. That actually worked for me when I was 16 years old and I was able to talk to people more. Second of all, you need to be more present. This one's very much important. The reason why you're not confident is because you're unconscious. You're not actually conscious. You're walking in there, now you feel nervous because someone's actually taking your consciousness away and you have thoughts in your head. So what you need to do, when you get that anxious feeling, breathe in like this. Take a full deep breath that makes your stomach go up and also moves, your privates in a way, which sounds weird, but when you breathe that deeply, it makes you so calm that this feeling ends up disappearing, because you're not acknowledging it anymore. You're just focusing on that breath where you're like, and that gives you more control in every single social situation. So that ups your confidence levels. It ups your ability to talk to people. And now something I must also address is that if you're scared of saying something that you probably shouldn't be saying in front of people, you just need to kind of be relaxed about it. Don't think about it too much because that will take you out of the present moment. Instead, just be engaging. That's it. You just need to be engaging and just give them eye contact, smile, make them feel comfortable by just doing those things, and have a normal conversation and be as interesting as possible. And to be interesting, you don't have to, explain your background. Like, I'm a club promoter in Brazil, but I moved to Istanbul or whatever. You can just do this instead. Just when you're talking about something, like maybe you're talking about ancient history, and they're talking about the library of Ashurbanipal. I love ancient history. You can act interested. You can raise up your eyebrows when something important is mentioned. Like maybe they'll be like, remember when Nineveh was burnt? That was rediscovered by the March of the 10,000. You can be like, was it? No way. Not in a very cocaine-like way, but you know what I'm talking about. Just your mannerisms make you more interesting as a result. So I think that's pretty important. So those are your tips. 3 very good tips, and I hope you use them. And that's pretty much why Zoomers are so weird with how they talk to people. Have a good time.